coming to you live on tape from the beautiful Campbell Bell Building on the Square in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's time for Northwest Arkansas Business Radio. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adam Robison, and you've landed on another episode of Northwest Arkansas Business Radio right here on Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX, the place where the excellent people of Northwest Arkansas come to hear excellent things. And that's just because we seem to be getting real lucky lately on having a great flow of guests through the studio, and today is no exception. Today we have Dave O'Brien here with us from Fibrenew. Dave, welcome to the podcast, and welcome to Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX.
Hello. Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Man, I'm so glad you're here, too. I'm excited about people to hear about your business, Fibrenew. Well, just go ahead and take us down that path, man. What is Fibrenew? How'd you get involved in it? Just go ahead and give everything that our listeners would want to hear about what you do.
Okay. Yeah, so Fibrenew as a company has been around since the 80s. They have franchises all over really the world, but mostly U.S. and Canada. And my wife and I bought the franchise for Northwest Arkansas in 2020. So what Fibrenew does is we're experts in leather and vinyl care and repair and re-dyes. Also, we do plastic repair and re-dyes. A lot of that comes in cars. Mm-hmm. But we work heavily with furniture, automobiles, boats, anything with vinyl. We'll do, medical tables and booths. Mm-hmm. So it's really a broad spectrum of what we do. We do upholstery, and when we do upholstery, it can be fabric as well. So we have a pretty broad reach in what we can do for people.
Wow. So was this always an interest of yours, or how did you get involved in this kind of work?
No, I spent 31 years in corporate America. I was in IT and in management for the last 20 years of that. I was, getting to a point where I felt like I wanted a change. And then there was a massive layoff where I worked. Wow. So I felt like God was telling me that it's time for your change now. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of weird the way it came about, but somebody contacted me about looking at franchises, and she interviewed me and gave me a list of franchises to look at. Mm-hmm. And we went through that process and gradually narrowed it down. And Fibrenew was the one that really met my goals. Awesome. So, like I said, we started in 2020. The business is Fibrenew Northwest Arkansas. And so we service Northwest Arkansas. We have a defined territory, but we can go outside the territory as well, as long as no one else owns it. Mm-hmm. So we really work from the River Valley up to Bella Vista and over to the marinas.
Wow. Okay. So pretty good territory coverage there.
Yeah. We're mostly mobile. Mm-hmm. So most of the work we do is on site. Mm-hmm. We do have a shop. It's behind my house. But we'll take bigger projects back there. Mm-hmm. We have some furniture there now that we're re-dyeing and restaining. So those are the types of things we take back to the shop. But most of what we do is on site.
Okay. Is the process difficult when you talk about re-dyeing, recovering? I've never actually tried to do anything like that before. So how arduous is the task of what you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, the thing, and I didn't realize this coming into it or didn't really have an appreciation for it, but every job is its own problem-solving activity.
Oh, wow.
It's not a widget manufacturing mm-hmm. business. You kind of have to figure out what the situation is, what the best kind of repair for it is. Like in a car, is it a perforated seat? Is it leather or vinyl? A lot of people will say they have leather seats, but part of the seat is actually vinyl. And they don't always like me telling them.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, well, wait, I didn't sell you this.
Right.
I'm just telling you what's there. But so there's a big problem-solving activity there and what you can do. And, one of the things we're working on right now, it's a recliner love seat. And we're trying to bring the color back in that, but it's got a lot of head oil in it too. So we have to treat that differently than we can do with the rest of it.
Head oil, is that the oils collected from resting your head on the couch?
Yeah. If anybody gets anything out of this is, keep a blanket or something decorative on the back of your recliner and rest your head on that because, heads and arms, but mainly heads are the worst.
I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Like I have a leather couch at home, so not so much now, but I've seen it before when, you get up and of course you've got your rear end print in the seat, but then there's also a darker spot where your head was. And I never, maybe I'm just showing my ignorance here, but I've never made the equivalent of a transfer of oil from your head to the chair.
And leather is, it's a natural, product, so it's porous. And there's with a lot of leathers, there's a protective layer on top. It's called a finished leather, so it'll have a top coat on top to protect it. But over time, that gets rubbed off, and then the leather just starts collecting the oil. So what you'll see a lot of times is, you'll see a spot. But if you actually removed that leather and took it off, you're just looking at the tip of the iceberg. It's much bigger.
Really?
Yeah. And eventually that will eat through the leather itself. If you have a recliner, just keep a blanket or something that looks good back there. Furniture used to be sold with those things, but it's not anymore.
I seem to remember that. You had at my grandmother's house, I hate to date the practice, but I can remember going to my grandparents' house, and they always had really nice matching dish towels over the armrests and dish towels over the back headrest as well.
Yeah.
I would imagine that probably has a lot to do with it, right?
Yeah. But as with anything today, it's a consumer society. So manufacturers, they want their stuff to turn over, and they want people buying.
Sure.
But yeah.
Interesting story about Fibrenew. Let's go back. So Dave O'Brien, are you lifelong Northwest Arkansas homebody?
No, I grew up in Eastern Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And went to college in Western Pennsylvania. And then I took my first job out of college outside of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Wow.
Spent 3 years there, met my wife there, and then we came to Northwest Arkansas. I came as a consultant on an IT project, and it was supposed to be for a year, and that was 1992.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah, my wife came out, and she took a job, and I said, it could just be temporary, and she said, that's fine. And then we had our first son and our second one on the way, and we decided this is where we want to raise our kids.
Wow.
That's when we really kind of planted ourselves.
It's a
here.
special place, isn't it?
It is. It is. We've enjoyed it, and we've both lived here longer than anywhere else. So.
Yeah. Well, we have 23 stations across the world for Business RadioX, from London, England to Oahu, Hawaii, and I still maintain that I'm the luckiest guy. Hawaii might be, I'm sure Hawaii's great, but Northwest Arkansas just has a certain charm. Yeah. I think my French brothers and sisters might say je ne sais quoi, or if I even said that correctly, forgive me, any French teachers that are out there. So what was, I imagine the dream wasn't always to grow and be in furniture. I know you did 20 some odd years in corporate. What was the dream for you growing up?
Well, actually, when I started my career, I had a angst, if you will, for something entrepreneurial.
Okay.
But my thought was, I want to get started with my career, get some money, and then I'll venture out.
Yeah.
But my career developed well, and that's hard to walk away from. And there's the stability of a corporate environment. And I had side hustles along the way.
Sure.
So I dabbled with the entrepreneurial stuff. But when it came, when I was faced with the layoff, I thought, and I wasn't necessarily thinking of a franchise, but I was thinking of buying a business or starting a business or something. And I thought, if I don't do that, when I'm done with my career, I think I'll regret it.
Wow.
So I jumped in not knowing really where it's going to take me, but it's a life experience, and something good will come of it. I'm a person of faith, so I feel like God has a plan.
Yeah.
And that plan might be to humble me during this time, but hopefully, it gets me to something where He wants me to be.
Yeah. So 20 years of a corporate job, or 20 plus years.
31.
31. Holy
yep.
smokes. Sorry, I missed that boat.
That's all right.
I'm sure you said it earlier. 31 years in a corporate job. Now, I only worked in the corporate scene for about 2.5 years before I realized, man, I'm a round nut they're trying to fit in a square peg. It just wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
But even after 2 years or so, 2.5 years, it took a lot of courage for me to take that entrepreneurial step forward. Like as you said, there's a lot of safety when someone else is stepping up to pay your salary each month.
Yep.
So what sort of factors went into you finally making that decision to separate from corporate and to bet on yourself? Yeah.
So I kind of had in my mind a point that I wanted to do that. I thought at 55, I want to do something different. Now, that's easy to say. Would I have been able to do it and walk away myself? I don't know. But, there was a big outsourcing layoff, and I was part of that. And so the push was there. And then it was just a matter of finding something that suited me.
Yeah.
And Fibrenew, when she presented the options to me in franchises, it wasn't one that jumped out at me. But the more I looked at it, I had goals of what I wanted the business for and what I wanted it to do, not necessarily what I would do, but and the more I looked at it, it met those goals.
Yeah.
But you're right. Would I have been able to jump out myself? I don't know.
It's tough, right?
I mean, it's hard to walk away from stability.
It is. It is. Because I do believe that the universe rewards risk. I do believe that because I've seen it. I knew I had 3 months of business in me, right? The money for 3 months of business. Now I'm at 6 months of business. I'm still not entirely sure where the money, I know where the money's coming from. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But sometimes in my head, when I think about it, I think, boy, the math just doesn't seem to work. But the money's there when I need it, right?
Yeah.
And for the few people that I'm not able to pay right now, they know that when I get my money, they get theirs, right? And so the plight of a new entrepreneur is something that, unless you've experienced it, you really don't know what everything is that you go through, some of the feelings and emotions that keep you up at night. So as you made the decision, and I'm asking this because I know that there are other early entrepreneurs. I almost said young, but it doesn't matter what your age is. Right. And so you might be 75 years old, and because there's still breath in your lungs, there's purpose for your existence, right? That's what I always believe. And so what are some tips, or what's something that you can speak directly into the heart of that person that says, you know what? I waited on my corporate job for as long as I could, and now I can't help but believe this is my time.
Yeah.
What would you say to those people?
Well, I mean, I am a practical person. You know, I'm not an idealist. So in my mind, the best times for me would have been early in my career, when I didn't have dependencies or commitments, or now later in my career when my kids are grown and they're on their own. We don't have debt. You know, I have retirement established for us. So those are kind of the ideal times, at least for me. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that jump out there and do it, but I'm a risk averse a little bit. So everything is a risk, but this was a risk that was manageable. Yeah, it would have been a lot harder had my kids been at home and, you know, dependent on this to eat,
sure,
you know,
sure,
and to fund their activities and everything else. So, yeah. But it's the thing I guess that I would say is map out a reasonable plan going in. Draw yourself a roadmap. Mine was for 3 years of the way I wanted it to go, and it hasn't necessarily gone that way. But when you put it on paper, and for me, it was an actual drawing, because when you have to think about it differently when you draw it to illustrate it. And I'm not an artist, but it just makes you, at least for me, it makes me think about things differently when I'm drawing a picture of it. But, you know, it was a realistic view of things. And then I could look at that and say, okay, is that feasible for us? You know? And yeah, it was. So we went ahead with it.
Nice. Nice. So, if you could do the whole thing differently, is there one decision that you would have done differently that you just know it sticks out in the back of your mind, like, yeah, I would have done this? Or do you feel like in reflection, you know what, I didn't make all the right steps, but I wouldn't change the path that I was on?
Yeah. I don't know that there's anything that I would change. I have a different view of things. Like when I came into it and I bought this franchise, I felt like it was a big advantage that I was the only franchise within 3 hours. The closest ones were Oklahoma City and Kansas City.
Wow.
And so I can work outside of my franchise or my territory, which is an advantage. However, some of the people that I trained with, they went into areas where there were other franchises. So they were restricted in their territory, but the advantage they had was that people knew the Fibrenew name. Okay. And that wasn't really something that I was counting on as far as marketing, is just the education that what we do is even possible. Yeah. Right? People don't know to look for leather repair or vinyl repair. They think replacement. Yeah. Or upholstery. And upholstery is one of the solutions, but there are a lot of times there's a repair option before that that can be more economical. Yeah. Well, you know, and the first time I met you and you said leather and upholstery repair, my thoughts immediately went to my belt and that kind of thing. And then you're like, oh, I work on furniture. And I was like, because I think you just hit on something there. Over the last 4 or 5 decades in our society, we've become kind of a disposal first society, right? A couple weeks ago, my dishwasher wasn't working. I'm like, let's go to Lowe's and get a new one. And my wife says, wait, let's call a repairman. And the idea of that was so foreign to me because we don't call repairmen anymore. But there's still an entire area of service industries that do actually live and survive off the repair and service that they do for clients. Yep. And I just think just even hearing your story today is a great reminder that some of those things that we might think dispose of first because there's a rip in it or your cat jumped on it and clawed it or something like that,
there's still means or a service that we can, restore and recover those things that we've loved.
Yeah.
Or offices that get a load of great chairs at a fraction of the cost, and they're just going to recover them. Like there's opportunities that lie within your business, and I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And one of the chairs that we have that we're working on right now, it's a really nice old leather chair. It's got to be 20 years old.
Wow.
But it sat in front of a window, so it's very faded. But it's got great bones, and to reupholster it with leather would be very expensive, and we're able to bring the color back to it. So, it's certainly worth saving.
Yeah.
And you'd have a hard time replacing it.
Yeah.
These days.
Yeah.
So, so those are the type of things we're looking for.
Cool. So.
Yep.
Let's talk about the future of Fibrenew, because I know that you've got great plans. And beyond the great plans, you and I have talked about, you've got some great dreams for what this organization looks like in the future, too. So go ahead and just kind of project down the road 5-10 years, kick the can, if you will. Tell us what Fibrenew and what your organization is going to look like.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things I liked about Fibrenew when I got into it was a business I could start by myself. So I could really learn everything about it. But that's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal isn't to be a technician. My ultimate goal is to have a business that is a good employer. I don't know. It's certainly never going to be a large employer, but if we employ 5 to 10 people, and they can make a good living through us, and we have a good culture for them, that's what I want to. Yeah. That's what I want to do. My wife, she's part owner, but she's a teacher, and she is getting ready to retire, and she'll join the business full time at that point. But she's a special ed teacher.
Nice.
And so
what school does she teach at?
She teaches at Hellstern Middle School.
Hellstern, okay.
Yep.
And is she Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Hello to Mrs. O'Brien.
Yep.
Shout out.
And so, maybe there's an opportunity that we can do things for some special needs adults or something in the future too. So we'll see where God takes it, but that's my vision, and that's really what the driving force behind me choosing Fibrenew was that I saw potential to grow it into what I wanted to do. So right now I have a full-time technician and a part-time technician. And then hopefully there's more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dave, you've done a great job introducing us to Fibrenew and introducing us to yourself and the aspirations you have. If there are people out there that want to learn more about Dave O'Brien or Fibrenew as an organization, are there socials and a website that they can check out?
Yep. So the website is fibrenew.com, and then specifically for my website, it would be /NWAFN, as in Northwest Arkansas Fibrenew. And then Northwest Arkansas Fibrenew on Facebook is where we post a lot of our pictures. Weekly, we'll put things out there of different projects that we're doing. And recently, like now, I try to put things out there that are a little bit different. So I put out some stadium seats that we restored that people had. Yeah, one set from Yankee Stadium and one set from Dodger Stadium.
Wow.
That was a bit of a learning curve for us, but
Sure.
those were 2 cool projects. And and then some fabric repairs, because that's not something that is kind of at our core, but we're able to do those.
Sounds
too.
like you're not afraid to step out of the box, though, and learn a little bit.
It can be unnerving at times, but yeah, it's kind of cool to see what else you can do and take on those projects, so it's not just the same old all the time.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
Just because you and I are in a referral club together, what is a great referral for you? If we have a listener out there that says, you know what, I don't know that I have anything I could do business at Fibrenew with, but what's a good referral to you?
So the best, I mean, obviously any residential person, everybody has furniture, cars, boats. We do a lot of RV floor work.
That's
the
interesting.
vinyl floors in RVs.
Yeah.
So
Get that
those
nasty
are all,
carpet out of there.
Well, they're vinyl floors, and, and what happens in an RV is that floor is laid down before the shell's put on it. Oh. And so it's a big deal to replace a vinyl floor.
Well, I bet.
And we're able to go in and repair those.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, we do a lot of that. So residential is always a great outlet for us. But then we're looking to expand our commercial side too. We do RV dealers, we do boat dealers, we do car dealers, and then places like libraries, retirement communities are great for us, where there's a lot of furniture that we can. I mean, we're looking for partnerships when it comes to commercial stuff. We want to help our customers be successful, whether it's selling their things or just having a good environment for their customers.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. Well, Dave, you've been very generous with your time today. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you. This was fun. You got a great
I'm glad
setup
you
here.
liked it. Yeah, it's really great, and we get to have great conversations with the men and women of Northwest Arkansas, and of course, I collect stories, so that makes me the luckiest guy anywhere. I feel pretty happy about that. Guys, you've tuned into another great episode of Northwest Arkansas Business Radio. This is Dave O'Brien with Fibrenew. If you don't have any sort of upholstery or leather repair needs at your abode, maybe your doctor's office does, maybe the school that your kids attend. If you want to help someone in Northwest Arkansas succeed, a true entrepreneur who worked darn near a full career and then branched out with his own business, this is a great opportunity to help a great man and a great family that are just out trying to do their thing here in Northwest Arkansas. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I think each and every one of these episodes we can pull just a little bit from and learn from the exciting and really thought-provoking guests that we have here in Northwest Arkansas. So, on behalf of Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX, Dave O'Brien, and Fibrenew, my name is Adam Robison, and we will see you next time.
Go Hogs.